AI isn't some far off sci fi concept anymore. It's here right now, and it is completely reshaping global finance at a mind boggling speed. So, today, we're going to dig in and explore the two very different faces of this financial revolution.
So that brings us to the big question, right? Is AI's takeover of finance a story of incredible progress? Or is it a story of serious peril? Because what we have is this incredibly powerful new tool. And like any tool, its impact is all about how we decide to use it. Let's break down both sides of this thing.
Okay, let's start with the promise. The really optimistic vision for AI in finance points to this new era of what some are calling hyper-efficiency. The idea is that markets and financial services can just work better, faster, and a whole lot smarter than they ever have before. At the very heart of this promise is one core superpower. AI can process and analyze just massive, ridiculously complex sets of data at a speed and scale that is, well, it's just not humanly possible. Think about finding a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is the size of a mountain, and you find the needle in less than a second. So, what does all that raw power actually mean in the real world? Well, price discovery gets way better, which is just a fancy way of saying things are priced more fairly because the AI can see all the tiny factors at once. Enhanced market liquidity means markets are more stable and it's easier to buy and sell, which is good for all of us. Then you add in fraud detection that spots criminals in real time and investment portfolios that are constantly being optimized, and you're looking at a fundamental upgrade to how money works. And this isn't just a new toy for Wall Street. The part that can be truly revolutionary is its potential to actually democratize finance, to promote real financial inclusion for millions of people who've basically been locked out of the system. And here's how that could actually play out. Because AI can assess risk with incredible accuracy, lenders can start offering small loans, microcredit, to people in underserved communities. By automating all sorts of processes, it just makes financial services cheaper for everyone. And it can give regular people access to the kind of sophisticated financial tools that used to be reserved for only the wealthiest investors. But, and you knew there was a but coming, for every promise, there is a potential peril. The very same things that make AI so incredibly powerful also introduce this new kind of unsettling fragility into our entire financial system. So let's take a look at the darker side of this revolution. Remember that superhuman speed we were just talking about? Well, that same speed can lead to catastrophic overreactions. When all these different algorithms start moving together, they can trigger market-wide chaos. Not in hours, not in minutes, but in a matter of seconds. This gets us to a really key idea: algorithmic herding. This happens when thousands of different AIs, all trained on similar data, all reach the exact same conclusion and execute the exact same trade at the exact same moment. The result can be something called a flash crash. We saw one back in 2010 that erased $1 trillion of market value in minutes, where markets just nosedive for no obvious reason and all the available money to trade just vanishes. And this points to an even deeper, more fundamental question. What happens when these machines are making these huge, critical financial decisions, and we, the people who created them, don't actually understand how they're making them? This is what people in the field call the black box problem. The internal logic of some of these AIs is so complex that it's effectively hidden from human understanding. And that lack of transparency, it isn't just a technical problem. It's a source of massive, completely unpredictable risk that can just spread like a virus through the whole financial system. On top of that, these systems are vulnerable. Take something called data poisoning. The idea is pretty simple and pretty scary. A bad actor intentionally feeds bad, manipulated data into an AI while it's learning. The AI then learns all the wrong lessons from that junk data, and then it starts making terrible, faulty decisions that get automated and rolled out on a massive scale. So, beyond all this abstract market risk, we have to talk about the real-world consequences for people. Let's look at the human side of the ledger. What this revolution means for jobs, for wealth, and for that growing gap between the haves and the have-nots. What's really fascinating here is that this is a story of a shift, not just destruction. Yes, a lot of traditional roles like credit scoring and forecasting are being automated. But at the exact same time, there is a huge new demand for specialists. People who can audit the AIs, ethicists who can make sure they're fair, and compliance experts to handle the new rules. The very nature of what a job in finance is changing before our very eyes. And this really gets to the core tension of the whole thing.
On one side, AI could genuinely expand opportunity and help close the wealth gap by giving more people access to credit and investment tools. But on the other side, there's a huge risk that the enormous profits from this technology will just flow to the owners and a tiny group of highly skilled workers, which would make inequality even worse than it already is. So, this is where we are. We're standing at a crossroads. The future of AI and finance isn't some predetermined outcome. It's going to be the result of a series of choices that we have to make about how we govern this incredibly powerful new technology. So if we're going to get it right, any smart regulation has to focus on these key goals. We have to have transparency to crack open that black box. We need to be able to audit these algorithms to check their work and hold them accountable. We have to demand fairness to prevent bias. And above all, the prime directive has to be maintaining the stability of the entire market. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? The innovation is undeniable, the opportunities are huge, but the systemic risks are just as real. The only way to get the benefits while avoiding the disaster is through smart, thoughtful, proactive governance. It's that simple. Ultimately, it really does come down to this. AI is just a tool. It might be the most powerful one we've ever created, but it's still just a tool. So the question we're left with isn't what the tool is going to do to us. The question is, what kind of future will we choose to build with it?